So you've made the decision to improve your interviewing skills. Where do we start? Let's check with our final tip, 101 of 101 tips for interviewers and interrogators. Hey, glad to be back with you. Stan Walters, your host of 101 Tips for Interviewers and Interrogators. We're now to our final tip, tip number 101. 2 years worth of work here that we've put into this, but now you've decided you want to change, you want to improve your interviewing skills and become a better interviewer and advance those skills to the virtuoso level. So let's talk about how we do that. First of all, the first step in any learning process is to decide what if. A friend of mine, Mike Rayburn, talks about that in one of his keynote speeches. You need to look up Mike on YouTube. Oh, you'll love him. Mike Rayburn, R-A-Y-B-U-R-N. You'll enjoy his keynotes that are there free and his concerts. But the first step in any learning process is what if. What if you could? What if I could do better? What if I could change? What if I could improve? And to see the possibilities beyond where you are right now. You know, the only person you're going to be better than is the person you were yesterday. So for the interviewer, what if I worked on my skills and learned a little bit about the persuasion process? What if I looked and understood and had a greater appreciation of those people who are going through emotional disorder or understand psychosis? How would that impact my interviewing environment? What if instead of using an aggressive confrontational style, what could I do by gaining more information to be more productive with a narrative-based style? So take a look at the what if process. You know, what if I could do it? What would it take to make the difference? What would it look like in the end? So you have to make the dedication and challenge yourself. One of the things that, again, Mike talks about in his work, in his keynote called What If, is you want to be a virtuoso in your field. Are you the best you can be? Challenge yourself. Are you the best you can be? If not, what will it take to get there? And the learning process does that. So the first step in that learning process is what if. This is what Martha Davis and I were doing in our research when we worked in New York. What if we could change the face of interview and interrogation? And I'm still about that agenda. I'm still about improving the quality and the integrity of interviews and interrogations that law enforcement, intelligence, and loss prevention are doing. And that's where we started this process and started this growth of this 101 tips. You're now going to find there's 140 tips here on the channel that you should find something that answers a question that you have. But the next step in the learning process is deliberate practice. You know, practicing is just not just for the sake of practicing, but look at a particular skill. Look at a particular point. For example, and to give you an idea of deliberate practice, you may not know the name Kyle Macy. Kyle Macy was a UK basketball great, was involved in the team that won the national championship. I think it was 87, 88, something like that. But Kyle was a point guard. And you know, near the end of the game, when the game is close and the other team has the ball, often the point guard has it and will often get fouled as the team's looking for a turnover. One of the things that Kyle Macy would do from high school all the way through college into the pros, Kyle, after every practice, would shoot 100 free throws. Why? What's he going to be called on to do that could be the critical point of the game? It's those free throws. He did it in college when he was at the University of Kentucky. He shot 100 free throws after every practice. He did the same thing when he got into pros. And he played with the Pacers, and I think this is right, the Bulls and one other team. I'm not sure because I'm not a huge NBA fan to know all those teams where Kyle Macy was. When Kyle Macy finished his career in the NBA, right now, at this point, he is number 2 in all-time highest percentage hit of free throws of any NBA team. 88.9% free throws he hit. The guy above him shot 90.1% in his career. So deliberately practicing your skill. There's opportunities for you through looking at YouTube, and YouTube's got tons of videos of interviews of all types, from very famous people to no-name cases. Or looking at some of the cases, for example, the Innocence Project that they call up. And look at those and work on those skills. Sit in and watch somebody else interview. Watch a polygraph examiner set up interview. And now they prepare and select their questions. But deliberately practice. You have to be a student of human behavior. That's another thing you've got to study. You've got to study the process. There's a great thing that's good for helping pull this stuff up. It's called the internet. You probably have heard of it. Al Gore invented it. Joke. Okay? You can laugh now. I'll wait. That's a great place for looking. In the back of my handouts, I have a bibliography of 250 sources, scientific sources support everything that I shared with you, and I've shared with these other 140 videos that we've got online here at this point. Go back and look at that, and look for the research, look at interview and interrogation, look at human behavior, and find out what we're learning and what we're gaining, particularly in the last 20 to 30 to 25 years in interview and interrogation research. So you've got a what if, you've got to study, you've got to student human behavior, look at abnormal behavior types, look at psychosis, look at personality disorders, look at psychopaths, antisocial personalities. All those come into play. And how much time you're reading and studying based on your particular area that you're focused on. And interviewing should be one of those. The final piece of the process, of the learning process, what if, study it, deliberate practice, is use it. It's just a matter of time. You've just got to be in the chair. You've just got to keep doing it. That's all there is. And you don't have to do an official interview, just engaging people in the street, engaging in conversation. And watch what you can do with some of your narrative-based skills, the information you can gain from someone, and the trust that is developed in your personal relationships, in your business relationships. So I encourage you, become the virtuoso in your field, being the very best. Set up the standard of what if, what would it take, what would it look like, what would it look like if I improved it, if I can improve by spending so much reading per week or so much more reading per month. I can improve by watching the interviews and doing an analysis and going back and reviewing cases, looking at old interviews that you've already done, and deliberate practice. Find one skill, one tactic, and use it in the interview room. And become very good, become proficient with it, become comfortable with it. Then add the next skill. If you try to do everything at once, you become overwhelmed, and you won't do any of them. So practice it once it'll become second nature to you. Develop that tool. You may not use it every time, but there's times when it comes that that tool is needed, and you'll have developed that skill. And the final piece is that use it process, the developing time. Hope you've enjoyed this series. If you hadn't got to watch of it, please sign up and take a look at all the rest of the series. Be sure to share this with other folks. And those of you in a training regimen, training area, training academies, you're more than welcome to put these tapes to use within training new recruits and new investigators. Because we're only going to be better as we improve ourselves. We're going to reach that pinnacle of being professionals and virtuosos when we all work as a team. And again, remember, that justice is truth in action. It's a Benjamin Disraeli of the British Parliament. Think of that concept. Justice is truth in action. So when you search for the truth, collect that information, protect the victims, make sure that justice is done through finding the truth. This is Stan Walters. Hope you've enjoyed this series. Be sure to go back and review anytime that you can. Hit the like button, Facebook button, and again, reach out to me. Give me the opportunity to share with you some of these tactics and techniques as we improve the skills of your agents, your investigators, and those folks in your association. So then see you again, and maybe sometime soon in the classroom. This is Stan Walters reminding you, be safe. Thanks for joining me.